Hi everyone. So in this video, I'm just going to go over the highlights of the syllabus for HPS200. So your lecturer, hey, that's me. My name's Corey Lewis. You can call me Corey or Dr. Lewis. Do check with your various professors about how they like to be addressed. Some people are pretty particular about this. A little bit about me. I've been hanging around U of T for quite some time now, possibly longer than many of you have been alive. I started my bachelor's degree in philosophy here in September of 2000, and then after some time I completed a PhD at the Institute for the History and Philosophy of Science and Technology, which is also part of U of T, and then I taught for a year in the philosophy department, and now I'm teaching again in the IHPST this year. So I have been hanging around U of T for quite some time now. The course is going to consist of a few elements. The first one is pre-recorded lectures, which, congratulations, you have found out how to, if you're watching this video, you've discovered the pre-recorded lectures. So these lectures will be posted by Monday morning each week. So I'll be producing them as we go along. They might be posted earlier sometimes if I happen to get ahead of things, but by Monday morning is the plan. It would be good if you could watch these videos before our live class discussions. So every week and the designated time when we would normally have in-person lectures, we'll be having a live class discussion via BB Collaborate. So you'll access BB Collaborate through the course Quarkus, and we'll just chat about the content of the readings and the recorded lectures. So you don't have to have watched the recorded lecture, the pre-recorded lecture, to attend the live meeting, but it helps. So in these live discussions, I'm not going to be presenting a whole lot of new material. All the stuff that you really need to know, for example, to do the quizzes, will be in the recorded lectures or the readings. So the live discussion is mainly for us to sort of bounce the ideas of the course around. I'll have some questions for you. I hope that you'll have some questions for me as well. So this is the kind of interactive part of the course that would normally happen during the lecture. So talking about the ideas, discussing them, and so on. This is particularly important for philosophy. Philosophy, despite the reputation that it has as a kind of weird solitary activity, it's actually a social activity. So talking about philosophy with somebody else is by far the best way to kind of digest it deeply. So please do your best to get to these class discussions. If you can't, they will be recorded. The recordings will be posted on Quarkus, so you won't miss out absolutely, but it's better if you can engage in them. All right, so that's another element. There are also weekly readings. So there's 1 or 2 chapters of a book or a journal article to read per week. All of these are up on Quarkus now. So there's nothing to buy. You can download all of the readings now from the course website in PDFs. I don't think that these readings are excessive. You're not going to be reading 100 pages a week or anything. They range from 15 to 40 pages, something like that. And you do want to do these readings, partly for the intellectual enlightenment of it all, but also because we'll be doing quizzes. So we'll be doing a series of quizzes. I believe there are 6 or 7 in this class. And the quizzes will be partly based on pre-recorded lecture material and also partly based on the readings. So that is all testable material. You'll also have tutorials. So the tutorials are going to start in the last week of September. You'll have you'll have exactly 6 meetings. So each student will have 6 tutorials that they need to attend. And in those tutorials, what you'll be doing is talking about the assignments primarily. So there's 2 written assignments, 3 sort of, and what you'll be doing in the tutorials is really focused on those written assignments. So you'll talk about the expectations, the strategies you should use for developing your submissions, that kind of thing. So those tutorials you're welcome to ask questions about course content, but really the best place to ask about the ideas from the course is either the class discussion or emailing me, or coming to my office hours. So I'd like to really focus those tutorials. Those tutorials are meant to be skill building exercises, essentially. Okay, so I just mentioned office hours. I'll be available Tuesday afternoons from 12:30 to 4:30 Toronto time. You can book an appointment with me for a half an hour, one-on-one discussion. We'll do a virtual discussion, basically anything that you want to talk about in the course. So you can book those on Quarkus. You go to calendar and in the sidebar, and then find appointment, and you should be able to see a listing of the available appointments. If you can't make that time, or if it's all booked up, email me. Hopefully we'll be able to work out something. Okay, so here's a list of the assignments. So this is a breakdown of everything that's going to go into your final mark. You see quizzes, 14%, tutorial participation the same. There'll be a short essay, and then there'll be a final essay, which is a sort of two-parter, an essay proposal and the final essay itself. Okay, so the quizzes, there'll be 6 quizzes. They're all multiple choice. You'll do them on Quarkus. They'll be available in the sort of each week that there's a quiz. It'll appear on Quarkus for that week. They'll be testing your knowledge of the basic content of the recorded lectures and the readings. I don't like trick questions. I'm not going to ask super obscure stuff, so you won't have to like memorize the readings or anything like that. I just want to give you A, an incentive, and B, a test to see whether you've watched the video and done the readings. So those will become available every Monday morning, and then will be due by Friday at 5 p.m. And really, you don't want to leave it till Friday 4:30 to start trying to do this. You might have technical problems, your internet might go out, and I'm not able to offer you extensions on this because the answers will become available Friday at 5:30 p.m. So you really need to get those quizzes done well beforehand. So strongly recommend that you start them maybe even before Friday, but well before Friday at 5. Yeah. Each one will be, you'll have 20 minutes to complete it. It will be between 5 and 10 questions, multiple choice questions, or that style of question. Your lowest score will be dropped. So your lowest score for all of the quizzes will be dropped from your final mark. That means that if you, for example, don't even do one of the quizzes, that won't count. You'll drop that, we will drop that automatically. Or if you do poorly on one of the quizzes, that will be dropped automatically. So this is meant to be relatively low stakes. You're not supposed to be sunk if you do poorly on one, but you do have to sort of keep up with the course in order to complete these quizzes. I should say you are invited to use your notes or to consult any materials from the course to complete the quizzes. So it's open book. However, you are required to do these on your own. So you're not allowed to consult with other students while you're taking the quiz. You can talk to them before the quiz, but while you're actually doing the quiz, once you see the questions, you're not allowed to be in contact with other students. So do these independently, but you're allowed to consult any of the materials that you have already available to you. Okay. Tutorial participation. So tutorials are primarily going to be run via BB Collaborate. We'll see how that goes. It might be the case that we need to use another platform, probably Microsoft Teams, because that's what U of T supports. But we'll start off trying BB Collaborate, and hopefully that will work for us. The very first tutorial at the end, the last week of September, it's just sort of, did you show up? That's your participation mark. That's to sort of iron out any technical problems that we might have. If you're just unable to attend because you've had technical problems, get in touch with your TA. But after that, so the following 5 tutorials, your participation mark is based on both showing up for the whole tutorial, not the last 5 minutes, show up for the whole tutorial, and there'll be a series of little micro assignments. And these are really micro assignments. They're kind of on the order of 5 minutes of work or something like that. But they'll be introducing you to the basic tools and skills you'll need in order to complete the assignments. So these little micro assignments will be submitted on Quarkus, and they'll be marked on a sort of completion or non-completion basis. So they're not going to look deeply into the content of your submission, just that you submitted something, that it looks like a sincere attempt, and then you'll get full marks on that. So we'll introduce you to a number of sort of research, writing, editing skills, and there'll be a little sort of participation-based micro assignment at the end of each of the final 5 tutorials. Okay, so then there's these 2 major written assignments. There's a short essay. You'll choose one of 3 essay prompts from, there's a list. If you look at the syllabus on Quarkus, you can see the prompts. As we get closer to the date when this is actually due, we'll talk about more of the specifics of this assignment, and you'll also discuss them extensively in your tutorials. So these are not long written assignments. They're not sort of like deep research assignments. I hope that they're relatively straightforward and somewhat interesting. Okay, and then there's the final essay, for which you will prepare by writing an essay proposal and an annotated bibliography. Now, the final essay, I'm not going to give you an essay prompt. You're going to generate your own topic for the final essay. And that should make you at least slightly nervous because it's challenging to come up with your own topic. But I hope it also makes you feel a little bit excited because if you've generated your own topic, hopefully it's something that's interesting to you. So what we're doing here is giving you as much flexibility in the topic of your final essay as possible. It has to be something relevant to the interaction of science and values. It has to be something within the content of the course. But within that, you're allowed to sort of choose any topic that you like. So to get you started on this, and B, to have your TA take a look at your topic and make sure that it falls within the course, you'll write an essay proposal and a short annotated bibliography. That is, you'll write 200 to 500 words, some short little thing. It doesn't have to be polished. It's just a rough proposal for what you think you're going to write your final essay on. And then 3 sources relevant to that topic and a short description of the content of those sources. So that's the annotation part of annotated bibliography. It's really just to get you rolling on the final essay before the last minute and to make sure that your topic is one that's reasonable for the course. And then you'll write your final essay. So this is the largest chunk of your mark. This is meant to be something that you put a lot of effort into. So it's meant to be something that you've worked hard on for quite some time. And I'll note that because you're generating your own topic, you can start thinking about this now, before we even get rolling with classes, before things sort of start off. You can start thinking about what might be interesting to you to write about now. So if you want to know sort of the basic topics of the course, check out the other video for this week where I talk about the big ideas, as it were. Anything from in there, anything related to in there, that's fair game. So start thinking about this as soon as you can, really, and then you can sort of pick away at it throughout the semester. But so long as it involves something about the relationship between science and values, it'll be fair play. Okay, so I'll talk much more about this final essay in pre-recorded videos, in our class discussion, if you've got any questions, and your tutorials will focus on it for the last 3 tutorials, I believe, will be sort of heavily focused on talking about the structure and the sort of best approaches, best practices when dealing with this final essay. Okay, so and do check out in the syllabus, I've got sort of a class schedule. So here's a sample week from the class schedule. There's the lecture topic, just what I'll be on about. There'll be whether there is a quiz or not, whether there's a tutorial or not, what the reading is, and whether there's an assignment due. So that's your guide to sort of like each week, what is it that you have to keep track of? What is it that you have to remember? And this class schedule is largely reproduced in the course Quarkus. So I've got it broken down by week. For each week, there's a header that says what the topic is. If there's a quiz that week, it'll appear in that week's module. I won't remind you about, I'll remind you about tutorials in the lecture videos and the class discussion, but whether you've got a tutorial or not is in the class schedule. The readings are listed week by week, so what one or two readings per week, and the assignments will appear in each week when they're sort of like when we get closer to the date. So I strongly recommend Sunday afternoon, Monday morning, take a look at what's going on this week, what you have to get on top of, maybe look ahead, what's going on in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so those are the basics. Please do read the syllabus front to back if you want to know the details of the assignments, the final essay, that kind of thing. And of course, we'll discuss all of this much, much more as we get into it throughout the class. Okay, thanks everyone.